Good morning, it's Miss Dolores from Baldwin Borough Public Library. Welcome to Big Science, Little People. This is our STEM program for children ages 3 to 6, but as I always say, any age is welcome to join in with us today. So today we're going to do one STEM project and one story about the water cycle, but with a focus on snowflakes. So our science slash STEM slash art activity will be making snowflakes from salt. And so we're going to do that in a few minutes. And our story today is also going to be about a snowflake, but it's going to focus on the water cycle. So typically you see the water cycle with the arrows, with snow going, or the water going from the earth back up to the clouds and back to earth again. But this story is unique. This story takes children through the 12 months of the year, so it's also good for if you're teaching your child about months of the year, it's also good for that. But it follows a snowflake through the 12 months and, where that water really goes. So I love this story. It's one of my favorites, and I wanted to share it with you today. But before we get started on this story, we are actually going to get started on a portion of our art project because we want part of it to dry while we're doing our story. So if you want to get all your supplies ready, and if you want to get the stencils that I gave you, if you don't have these, they're right on our Facebook page. You can click the link and download and print them right at home. If you want to go ahead and do that, then we're going to get started just doing the first 2 steps of our art project. Okay, so before we get to our story, we're going to work on our salt snowflakes, and these are available as a download on the Facebook page. So there's a link right on there that you can print these. You can print in color or black and white. I chose to print in color, so it's just a blue. I'm just going to use this sheet as an example. There's many, some are larger on a page and some are smaller. So I'm just going to be working on this one today and show you everything you need for the supplies. So you'll need your snowflake stencils. I printed mine on a little bit thicker paper on cardstock so that it doesn't bleed through. You can either double up printer paper or use something thicker. You're going to need some Elmer's glue. Mine happens to be in this yellow tinted bottle, but that's Elmer's glue in there. You'll need some salt, so just regular salt that you would find in the store. You're going to also need some blue food coloring. And I have a little dish that I'm going to mix my water and the food coloring in, so you'll need that. You can also use watercolor paints if you don't have food coloring. So I'm going to use this brush since I don't have a pipette or I don't have a dropper. I'm going to use a brush, and we're going to be ready to get started. So the first thing you're going to do is decide which snowflake you want to create. You can do all of them, but we're just going to start with one of them, and like I said, I'm going to start with this one. So you're going to get your glue, and you might have just an Elmer's glue bottle. I have these from work so that we can distribute a lot of them. So you're just going to follow the lines, and you're going to fill in anywhere where there's blue, or if you did yours in black and white, just follow the lines. So you're just going to put that glue everywhere where you see an outline. This is just kind of really fun for kids to be able to follow. And remember, all snowflakes are different, so you don't have to be concerned about sticking in the lines. So I know it's been really cold outside. You may have gone to play in the snow. This past weekend was freezing, so you might not have gone. But tomorrow is supposed to be in the 50s. So that is closer to spring. Okay, so I am done. And as you can see, I covered all of my blue lines with Elmer's glue. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our salt, and you're going to pour the salt literally over the glue. Okay, so you just shake it until it covers all the glue. Make sure it's covered nice and good. All that glue needs covered up. Okay, and then it will look like this, and then you are going to take it, and you are just going to shake it on another piece of paper, and it will look like this. And now we need to let that dry a little bit, and we're going to go do our story called The Snowflake, a water cycle story. The Snowflake, a water cycle story by Neil Wadman. Okay, the first month of the year starts with a J, January. Good job. That was last month for us. On a moonless night, a tiny snowflake fell from a great gray cloud. It floated slowly downward, with thousands of other snowflakes coming to rest on the jagged peak of a mountain. All right, January, here's the snow, and it's landing. Let's see what happens after that. This is the month we are in now. What comes after January? January, February. Good job. That's the month we're in now. A wind whistled over the mountain and carried the snowflake back up into the air. Okay, so all snowflakes, when they start melting, they evaporate and the water goes back up into the air. You can't see it happening, but this is what happens. So it's going back up into the air. The snowflake twisted and spun, swirling into a pond on the mountainside. The snowflake melted into a droplet, but as the days grew colder, the pond froze. Okay, so we also have water that freezes. And when that melts, some of it starts to flow and a lot of it goes back into the air. Okay, we had January, February. What's next? March. Did you guess that one? Good job. As the sun grew warmer, the ice began to melt. The snowflake became a droplet of water once again, and it fell through a crack in the rocky pond bottom and trickled down into the ground. Downward it sank into the blackness within the mountain. Along with millions of other droplets, it splashed into an underground stream that flowed deep into the earth. Okay, so you can see March, we have spring, things start to melt, and it's taking you, telling you that things are now beginning to thaw out. You can even see some fish swimming along there. What's after? We had January, February, March, April. After a long journey, the stream turned upward, bubbling through the ground in an icy spring sparkling in the sunlight. The droplet rushed into a brook. Okay, all right, so the droplet's flowing down, and you can see, look, that looks like Pittsburgh, doesn't it? And you can see, what is this? Do you know what that is? Go across that bridge, and underneath it is a river. It danced around some stones, spilled over a waterfall, and surged into a raging river. The droplet flowed past villages and cities under a great gray bridge where cars and buses carried people to and fro. All right, we had January, February, March, April. What's next? That's right, May. A shiny metal pump sucked the droplet through a maze of zigzagging pipes into the irrigation system of a nearby farm. Okay, the irrigation system is how the farm gets water. Do you see these pipes? Okay, so from that river, it's being sucked through the maze of zigzag pipes into this irrigation system. This is how this farm gets watered. It spun through a long rubber hose, swished into a spinning sprinkler, and squinted up into the air. The droplet flew in a great arc, landing at last on the leaf of a cabbage plant. All right, we had January, February, March, April, May. Comes next. Good job. June. In the chill of morning, a heavy blanket of fog rolled in over the farm. The droplets slowly evaporated. Remember we used that word before? That means goes back into the air and floated up into the thick grayness. But soon the rising sun began to bake the air as the fog rose high into the sky and became a cloud. Okay, if you've ever seen a foggy morning, once the sun comes out, you can start to see it become clear. See how cloudy this picture looks? All right, so the sun burns it off, and then what comes after June? January, February, March, April, May, June. Good job. July. The cloud joined a mass of darkening storm clouds. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and a torrent of raindrops dived toward the earth. The droplets rocketed downward and splashed into the clear waters of a reservoir. It was sucked through a series of filters that removed all the dirt particles until only pure water remained. Okay, so July, we do have a lot of rain in July, and you can see all of these clouds are letting out the water and it's coming down. But what happens to water? They mentioned the filtering. So we can't drink water that just comes like from the ground. It has to go through a filtering process so that we only get the good parts of the water. So that's what they're talking about here. What's after July? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Maybe I've mentioned your birthday month. The droplets swished through a long metal pipe. See these pipes? It was pumped into a smaller pipe and then into an even smaller pipe. Okay, you can see the big ones, the medium-sized ones, and the small ones, where it suddenly stopped and started and stopped and started again in herky-jerky motions. Okay, so the water's getting filtered. What's after August? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We're into the fall. In her bathroom, a young girl twisted a faucet. Okay, this is like you in your bathroom. This is how you get water. Through that filtration system, through all of the pipes that you saw, and it comes into your home. Poured out into a bathroom sink. The girl dipped her hands into the water and lifted the droplets onto her cheek. A second later, it was falling, 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 splashing, swishing, spinning through the drain into another dark pipe. Okay, so all of the water, some of it you use and some of it goes down the drain. It has to go back into the pipes. So things we don't think about normally in the day. It's after September. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Is this your birthday month? October. After a long, dark journey, the droplet poured out into the ocean. Okay, maybe you have been on a beach vacation and have seen the ocean. It flowed past fields of waving sea grasses, over corals of many colors, and into the mouth of a great striped fish. Passing through the fish's body, the droplet returned to the sea. Okay, what's after October? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. This is the month we have Thanksgiving. Maybe that's your birthday month. Rising up to the ocean surface, the droplet was pulled steadily toward the shore. On the crest of a mighty wave, it bubbled into foam, crashing onto the sandy beach of a tropical island. Okay, we never realize or think about how all that water gets into the ocean. or how it's evaporated back into the air. Okay, we are on the last month of the year. You might celebrate a holiday on this month: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. In the sunlight of a winter's morning, the droplet evaporated. Okay, we've used that word a lot, right? Go back into the air. It rose into the air, entering a great gray cloud. Okay, here's all the clouds up here. A whistling wind pushed the cloud across the sea, past cities and towns, across beyond an icy spring, and over a raging river. It drifted past a waterfall and a frozen pond. On the moonless night, a tiny snowflake fell from the cloud. It floated slowly downward, with thousands of other flakes coming to rest on the raging peak of a mountain. Did you notice that that's how we started our story? Let me show you. Do you remember? We started our story with snow. We ended our story with snow. All right, and it showed you all the other ways that that one drop of water that created this snowflake, what happens to it all throughout the year until we get back around and it's snow again. I hope you enjoyed our story, The Snowflake, A Water Cycle by Neil Waldman. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed that story, and we are ready to finish up our salt painting. So I have mixed 2 tablespoons of water with just 2 drops of blue food coloring. Like I said, you can also use watercolors. The more food coloring you add to the water, the darker your color is going to be. And you can use, obviously, any color that you want. As a matter of fact, if you do more than one of these, it's a really good way to work on colors with your child. Okay, so all you're going to do is simply dip your brush or your dropper or whatever you have. If you have a medicine dropper, you can fill it, and you're just going to lightly touch. See how that works? Lightly touch the salt, and it just fills it in like magic. And you're just going to do that all over your snowflake. The fun thing is that you can mix colors and make new colors. So if you have red and yellow, you can make orange. And if you have different colors to mix, you can work on mixing colors and see. So if you have blue and yellow, you can make green. So you can experiment with different colors, which is another great thing about this art activity. See how beautiful that looks? So maybe you can send me pictures in the comments of how beautiful your snowflakes turned out. After these dry, these are really nice to hang up, either on your fridge or anything, really. Anywhere you would want to hang them. They do take a while to dry because the glue is wet, and then of course your watercolor is wet. Usually overnight to let them dry is best. Okay. So I will show you my finished snowflake. There it is. And it's that simple. And it's such a nice, creative thing to do in a nice way, in a different way, that you can use paints and watercolors if you have them. Okay, so as you can see, the water got absorbed into the salt. Okay, so that means like it sucked it in. It, like if you had a paper towel and you dunked it in water, how it would go up the paper towel and make it wet. So the science behind this is how? Like, how did this happen? You know, how did the water in the watercolors or in the water paint that you used get absorbed? So salt that we had poured on there absorbs or soaks up water moisture because it's attracted to highly polar water molecules. This means the salt is hygroscopic. So hygroscopic means that it absorbs both liquid, which is the food coloring mixture, and water vapor in the air, which we talked about in our story, how the water goes back up into the air, into the clouds, and comes back to Earth. So just a little science lesson for you, and I hope that you really enjoyed making these snowflakes today, and I can't wait to see what yours look like. Well, I hope you enjoyed our STEM program this morning. Please feel free to post pictures of what your beautiful snowflakes look like. I'm sure each one of yours is going to be unique, just like you. And we're going to tune in next Tuesday for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. You can register for an early literacy kit right on our website. Go to the Kids and Teens tab, and you can register for our program. All right, I will see you next week for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And don't forget to post your pictures. I really would love to see them. Okay, have a great week.